Get ready, get set, and hold on. You're in for one heck of a ride. Good morning. Welcome to Freedom Friday, September 19th, 2014. And I'm your host, Paul-Gregory Matuszak here with the Mouth of Matuszak show. And as you can tell, my coffee's been really good this morning because my tongue is trying to move faster than my brain, which is going to make things even more interesting for you folks out there. So Freedom Friday, you know what that means. You should have worked hard Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, worked some extra hours if necessary, dug in deep, got most of that stuff done. So today, you're tying up those loose ends, finishing up those things, dotting those I's, crossing those T's, doing some high fives, congratulating each other for the work well done while you're at work there. So maybe, just maybe, you can get out on time or a little bit early so that you can enjoy the weekend and the fruits of those labors that you put forth. That pursuit of happiness. That's what it's all about, folks. Work hard and play hard. So, yep. Starting this evening, when you get off work, it's time for the weekend. Of course, that's for those of you out there who work the standard Monday through Friday jobs. If you work the 80 and 8 type of thing, either you're working this Friday or you're got a 4-day already. So, without further ado, a little bit of Steven Crowder and Chris Lash with Mr. America.
Mr. America, look what you've done.
Yeah, looking at the country is not what I intended. Gotta start to make a change before the never-ending story of a failed nation runs straight out of luck. Like $1 million Tyler Perry movies, you suck. All your little have-life, you're still selfish. You want more voting in your self-interest now instead of the core principles that made this country both honest and true. Free to speak, worship, pursuit of your happiness too. With all the money you fly, you gon' be needing a big freeze. Hate the size of the Fed like Jesus hated the fig tree. As the spending goes up, you gotta borrow some more. Borrowing from the Chinese like, oh my lord. Instead you just tax more, you're increasing the size of the federal government. Yeah, the Georgia surprise. You'll be done like Detroit, man, no you ain't coming back. Forget it, I'm out, I'm mother loading night.
Mr. America, look what you've done. You trade your liberty and sovereignty for lies and promises. Mr. America, don't you run away. You pick up pieces up and face the problems, you'll be great again. I got tired of rolling over in my grave every day, making a monarchy of my beloved U.S. of A. Your little glitches need reminding of what we were before, and the sits that led us up to revolutionary war. High taxes to the throne without a voice of our own. Rule top down from the crime we wanted left alone. Oh, y'all so soft, you're taking it year after year. We were fighting red coats while we're brewing our beer. Now I'm drinking, spitting ciphers through a grill made of wood. That's how it all went down in G-Dub's neighborhood. Packing cabin balls like powder hammers with cock, lock, click, clack. The loss of backs like the attack, cuss like that. The chicken littles who don't know me, listen, don't let it twist. We kick the A's of the B's for much less than this. So don't deny the historical climbing out of the mud. Follow me, believe this creed, plant the seeds and be Mr.
free.
America, look what you've done. You trade your liberty and sovereignty for lies and promises. Mr. America, don't you run away. You pick up pieces up and face the problems, you'll be great again.
On the warrants at 8-5 when it's really at 12. Hear me, classes in session, you can't be saved by the bell. What happens when you keep printing more dough? Both parties have gone green like their name was Al Gore. Yeah, but right now you're hot. Hey, ain't you big hitter? But now I'm back from the dead. I'm bringing back all my knickers. What knickers? No, it's okay. I can say knickers because I wear knickers. Man, you think I say that? What's wrong with you? I'm just talking about my show back then. I rock with my shoe, but let's prison or death row and still the only change you're gonna get is being left with the bill.
Mr. America, look what you've done. You trade your liberty and sovereignty for lies and promises. Mr. America, don't you run away. You pick up pieces up and face the problems, you'll be great again. Mr. America, whoa, whoa. Mr. America, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. Get you going for that Friday morning. Of course, you guys have been hearing the same thing for a couple weeks now. That song always pumps me up. I hope it gets you all pumped up as well. Yeah. Good old Freedom Friday. Speaking of Freedom Friday, and speaking of Chris Lash's partner in crime with that song, the other half of Powdered Zombies, of course I'm speaking of Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder restarted Louder with Crowder last week, and he also kicked off his radio show, which is probably finishing up its last hour right now. So if you... what's the words I'm looking for? If you're joining this show from his thank you next week before listening to this show, go ahead and go to louderwithcrowder.com and take a listen to Steven. He's had some interesting guests on, including Ben Howe and others. And for those of you who like to watch the Dana Lash show on The Blaze, I know Steven Crowder's been doing some spots on there. Anyway, along with Crowder's latest radio show this morning, yesterday-ish, he released his second video since returning to the stage, so to speak, after taking an extended hiatus. And so we have that, and it's over at buzzpo.com, along with at Louder Than with Crowder, and I think he also has it over on his YouTube site there. But he discusses the whole spanking, child abuse, Adrian Peterson stuff, kind of his take on it. So let's hear what Steven Crowder has to say about the whole issue.
Should you beat the crap out of your kid? I'm gonna go with... So the new scandal du jour is Adrian Peterson, a man who allegedly abused his 4-year-old son. Now let me preface this with saying that it's never okay to abuse your children. Ever, 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 ever. But spanking or disciplining your child is not the same as abuse. See, people show these definitely disturbing pictures and then conflate the issue of child abuse with any and all physical discipline. Now granted, spanking isn't for every kid, and at a certain point it can be age inappropriate.
You use foul language in front of the ladies?
No, Daddy, no! But I was spanked, and you know what? I deserved it. I was a little troublemaking turd who made my parents' life miserable. But I was spanked, like, a lot, and guess what? It worked. The sting of the wooden spoon taught me to no longer deep freeze my snowballs before the Fort War. But it's important to differentiate between abuse and spanking. Because you know who that ultimately belittles? The kids who've actually been abused.
Oh, your dad spanked you once? My dad lights matches under my feet, then duct tapes my own socks into my mouth as he locks me in a closet for days on end while blaring Van Halen's Panama on a loop like a morphine drip. So.
See, the root issue here is the same as with all media malpractice. When you declare all conservatives racist, it belittles actual racism. When you declare the whole country sexist, it desensitizes people to actual abuse of women. When you declare spanking to be gross mistreatment of children, actual child abuse loses impact. But what do you think? Is spanking abuse? Is it at all effective in raising good children? I want to hear below. Just try to keep it civil because reading the comments
We can tell that some of you basement-dwelling, neck-bearded internet lurkers haven't been spanked enough.
Hey, we okay? We good? Want some milk?
Yeah, I think Crowder has a point. I was spanked a couple of times as a kid, and I deserved it most of the time. I'm sure, like with every issue, there's some contention on some things, but there were times that I definitely deserved it. I needed to be taught a lesson, and having somebody sit down and explain it to me probably wouldn't have sunk in very well. So something needed to be done with some sort of punishment in order for discipline, because corrective training was not going to work. Lecture was not going to work. So something had to wake me up. But I've seen the pictures from the Adrian Peterson case that have been floating around. I don't know how authentic they are. I haven't taken the pictures and done any kind of forensic digital photography examination of them or anything like that. But I see the welts there. And it does look like something was carried a little bit too far. Would I say it's systemic abuse? Would I say it's indicative of abuse? Not really. Would I say it's an incident where perhaps Adrian Peterson went a little bit too far? Yes. Would perhaps he need a lesson in the proper administration of a spanking? Possibly. An open hand is fine. I always hit with a belt. My brother got a brush, and I'm not talking the backside of a brush. I'm talking the prickly, hurts a lot, leaves welts side, and that I thought was extreme. And he got that once, and that was it. So yes, if you're going to spank, there should be some reasonable limits. It should not be done in anger ever. It should be, if one parent is angry at the child, then that maybe should not be the parent to administer the corporal punishment. It needs to be the one that's currently cool-headed, because it should be a punishment. It should be, you're going to get 3 whaps for what you did, or whatever the case is. It shouldn't be some I'm fed up and I'm going to take my frustration out type thing. Which, again, we don't know if that was the case or not in the Adrian Peterson case anyway. So, I mean, I have plenty of friends who were told to go and pick a switch and brought it back and went back and forth. There was no anger involved in their particular whoopings, because it was one parent who was angry and the other one administrated the punishment. You know, some kids respond to grounding, some to timeouts. Some kids need a firm pat on the backside. So now there are limits, and where those limits are, that differs case by case, child by child. Now, do I think a switch is a good idea? Not so much. Not looking at those pictures of those welts. I'm not a big fan of the belt either. But an open hand or a wide paddle, because those of you who have actually studied this thing called physics know the whole pounds per square inch and how that works. So if you have a wider paddle that's bigger than your hand, well, the amount of force produced, although there's an increase in torque because you have the length of the whip, etc., or the length of the instrument in the hand adds to that. But the pounds per square inch is less because it's a wide face. And by the way, some kids who have been spanked more than once try to slip things down their little backside to cushion the blow. Trust me. I did it once or twice and actually got away with it. But at the times I didn't, it just made it worse. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the whole spanking thing. So I agree with some of the points that Crowder's making, but I'm also not a big fan of corporal punishment as a first choice. I think that should be your last choice. I think you need to try the lectures, the timeouts, the grounding, etc. first. There are other things you can do that are nonviolent and not damaging to the kid. Withholding the dessert, especially if they're a picky eater that doesn't want to eat their food or is caught sneaking their food or wasting their food or sneaking it away from the table and throwing it away or what have you. Okay, that's fine. You obviously aren't hungry enough to have dessert. So you got to make it a corrective action, and you have to make it fit the crime, and you have to try the other stuff first. But in extreme circumstances, well, I shouldn't say extreme circumstances, but in some circumstances when everything else has been tried first and it just won't work, that pat on the backside just might be what's needed. But it needs to be done in a correct manner. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know all the intricacies of the Adrian Peterson case. It's his kid, and looking at the world, I think it's kind of bad, but would it be deemed necessarily abuse? I don't know. How often does it happen? Is this a regular occurrence? But there's also so many things that need to be answered in there, and I don't know if it was necessarily what he did was a criminal act or abuse either. I don't know enough about the case. I'm not going to make a judgment on it. So that's that for today. Our little talk on social justice, so to speak. So after looking at all that, got something interesting to talk about here, folks. If you go over, and I think one of our writers at BuzzPo is going to be writing on this as well, but the Daily Mail out of England, out of the UK, has an interesting story about something that happened here in Minnesota. Minnesota National Guard, about don't know exactly how many, but one of the units recently returned from overseas duty in, I think, Afghanistan, but they just redeployed. And when military units redeploy, there's usually a homecoming ceremony, a welcome home ceremony performed, where friends and family gather, as well as some reporters, etc., etc. And they do some fanfare, they do a couple of speeches, they welcome them home. They usually try to make it as brief as possible so that they can do what needs to be done to get these fine soldiers out of uniform and spending some time with their families. And there is a lot to be done when they first get home. So they have their little homecoming thing pretty much with a few minutes after they get off the plane. And then they tie up all the loose ends, put the weapons and equipment, lock them up where they belong, or where they need to be stored, and a couple of briefings, etc. Well, one kid was so excited to see his mommy. Now, both his parents are Minnesota guardsmen, and Daddy had spent 9 months out on tour, deployed to Afghanistan. So while he was gone, it was just Mommy and him. Well, when Daddy came home, it was Mommy's turn to deploy. So now, little Cooper Waldvogel couldn't wait for the little ceremony to end and couldn't keep himself contained. So he decided, I'm a civilian. I don't care what military protocol is. They can't do anything to me. I'm going to go hug my mommy. And he ran out in the middle of the formation, jumped up and gave Mommy a hug and joined the formation. And it's just the cutest thing, folks. Whenever one of these happens, one of these little homecoming things, or the soldier home on leave in the middle of a tour surprises a kid or a sister or a brother or a dog or what have you.